Question: is it will or is it skill? As someone who's worked in management across industries, one thing you talk about when an employee is struggling is it their will or is it their lack of skill that's holding them back? And that certainly seems to be a question that is blighting this current rate. So let's talk about it. Is it will or is it skill? That's the question. Is it the fact that these players genuinely haven't got the talent to be able to deliver what we need them to deliver on a regular basis? Or is it the fact that the mentality, the will, there is a weakness there, that when the pressure is on, when it really genuinely matters, they can't take those opportunities. They can't do those crucial things that they need to do to be able to get over the line and actually win a game, or to be put themselves in a position where they can be successful. Look, like I said in the intro there, I've never managed a football. I've managed youth football teams. That's completely different, I know. But as someone who's been a manager, in industry, and I've managed across a number of industries and a number of different environments. When you have an issue with a worker, you ask the question of that worker, and you ask the question of perhaps other managers as well. Is it the will, the personality, the mentality of that employee, or is it the fact they genuinely haven't got the skill to do the job? And they are the questions that you ask, and you try to identify which one it is so that you can address that issue. Is it their personality? Is it their mentality? Or is it the fact they need to be retrained or trained on a particular thing to get better at it? Now, look, that's obviously a very simple thing, and that's industry, and industry is obviously very different to football. Football is a very specialized industry. We know that. It is very much a case of you either have the talent or you don't have the talent. You've just got to look at the amount of kids who want to be footballers, get taken into teams, academies, and then actually genuinely make it through. It's less than 1%. So there we go. But I think with this Rangers team at the moment, we have at times with some players, it definitely is skill. With some players, it definitely is a lack of ability, a lack of talent, that is holding them back and holding the team back. And I will get to that, and I want to talk about that a little bit later on in this video. But first of all, we're going to talk mentality. We're going to talk about winning mentality, positive ethos. We're going to talk about the fact that, that a team needs to have that mentality that whenever they go out onto the field, that they are going to be successful, that they believe they're going to be successful. Now, if you go back over the history of Rangers to the time of Walter Smith, to the time of Graham Souness, for example, there was an innate belief within that team at all times that when it mattered, when the game was on the line, when we had to get a result, they would get a result, that they would fight it through and they would bring it out the other side and be successful, because there was a innate mentality of win, win, win. Everyone hates us. We don't care. We keep on going. We are a machine. We win, and that's what we do. You look back at some of the, looking at Scottish football for a minute, you look at some of the Manchester United teams that Sir Alex Ferguson managed. Now, I think in his last season, they won the league, and that team is widely regarded as one of the weakest teams ever to win the English Premier League. But what was it that helped them get over the line? It was their winning mentality. It was their positive ethos. It was their growth mindsets that they had within the team that Sir Alex was very much one who always gave his players and always ensured his players had that can-do attitude, that when opportunities presented themselves, not only did they take them, they took them with both hands, threw the opposition to the floor, stamped on their throat, and did not allow them to get back up again. That was the mentality. Now, for me, as someone who's followed this club for an awful long time now, over the last few years, there has been a real lack of positive winning mentality. There has been a situation where, in my opinion, it is kind of, I don't want to say become acceptable, but become the norm that when we need to turn it on, when we need to win games, when the pressure is truly on, they just do not do it. They just do not deliver. You look, for example, at the semi-final last year. You look, for example, at that trip to Parkhead last year. You look, for example, during Gio's time, the defeats at Parkhead. You look also, this season now with that Aberdeen game. You look at the Aberdeen game as well before Michael Beale got the sack. There was a real kind of acceptance of average, a real acceptance of, well, we've tried and it just didn't work, and that's it. What can we do? Now, was the performance absolutely dreadful on Sunday? No, it wasn't dreadful. It was good in patches. It was dreadful in other patches, but it was good in other patches. Did we create enough chances to win? Yes, we did. So I understand where people are coming from that saying that there's not a problem, but the problem for me is that the mentality there to take those opportunities, the mentality there to actually get over the line when you need to is not there. Yes, they created the chances, but they didn't take them. Some of that will be down to lack of ability, Sam Lammers. Some of it, though, is down to mentality, a belief in what you're about to do is going to be successful. And I think the issue we have in this team is there are too many players who have become kind of ingrained with a mentality of not so much losing, but not being able to handle pressure, not being able to handle it when the pressure is on, that you need to win because that win will help you overcome whatever it is you're facing and also chase down that lot from across the city. And look, I am sick to death, absolutely sick to death of seeing them celebrate trophies, lift trophies, celebrate. And I'm fed up of hearing their fans gloating. It pisses me off. It galactically pisses me off. And I know it pisses everyone else off. I know it annoys all Rangers fans. Of course it does. But for me, what it is at this moment in time, there are too many players who within this squad who've kind of become ingrained that mentality of when the pressure comes on, they hide, they fall back. You know, look, I get criticism for this, and you know what? I don't care. You don't agree with me. You don't have to agree with me, and that's fine. As long as you do it in a constructive manner and not make it personal, that's fine. That's what football is. Football's a game of opinions. Of course it is. But you look at that, that defence that started on Sunday. That's the same defence that started against Aberdeen in the 55 season. That's take out Balogun. You've probably got the same defence as 5-6 years ago there. For me, Goldson, Barisic have not got the right attitude anymore. They've got very much a negative losing attitude. Borna hid. And people have said, oh, you treat Borna really badly. You treat him like something you stood in. But the problem was, guys, you look back at that performance on Sunday and you tell me what there is to admire or what there is to praise about what Borna did on Sunday. Every time he gets the ball, he's looking to get rid of it as fast as possible, to pass it back to someone else, to shuffle the blame onto someone else, to pass the buck if you want. His service from out wide was poor. When he had that shot, like I said, that threatened the corner flag more than the goal from 40 yards or whatever it was. Got Connor Goldson, yet again, as in the Celtic game, caught out of position, allowing a player to run off him. Weak, slow. He looked horrendously off it. And you kind of have to ask the question, how bad does Connor Goldson have to get before he actually gets dropped? Because to me, and I know he's had his issues this season, but that's come playing left side centre-back, and John Souttar is not a left-sided centre-back. And the question that I want to ask is, how many times do players like Leon King, John Souttar, have to play left side centre back because we won't move Connor Goldson? I honestly think, and you may think I'm wrong here, John Souttar is a better defender, a better natural defender than Connor Goldson. I honestly think Souttar would be better at that right side centre back, and when he's played there, he's looked very we're going to hopefully get a chance to see that on Thursday night against Aris Limassol, of see Souttar next to King or Souttar next to Davis, obviously depending if Davis is fit. But for me, Connor Goldson has got to the point now we need to have that discussion about him. Should he be dropped? People say he's been our best defender. Well, that's not great. That's like, I don't know, been the most attractive person on the Burns ward. It really, that's a horrible thing to say. It's a Frankie Boyle-esque joke, isn't it? But it is just, when you're surrounded by average, just because you're the best of the average doesn't make you a brilliant defender. And I think the thing you've got to look at is, if Connor Goldson was so outstandingly brilliant, don't you think he would be attracting attention from down south? Don't you think teams in the Premier League will be after him, which they quite simply are not? Tav's a separate matter, and Tav's a difficult one, isn't he? He steps up when we need him to do. He scores penalties, he scores free kicks, but he can't defend for toffee. And he was poor on Sunday up until that pressure penalty. He's another one. Has he become too ingrained with that mentality? John Lundstrom, there's another one. For every 2 good games he has another 2 bad games. And he hides at times as well. And I thought he was very poor on Sunday. Very, very poor. But I thought both him and Sifu were very, very poor. I mean, he does look better when Jack's there, but let's face it, everyone looks better when they've got Ryan Jack alongside them. There is, I think, a real mentality problem within this team, and it does worry me. It really does. And I think the hope, the desire, listening to other Rangers fans, talking to other Rangers fans, listening to Rabble, listening to Club at 22, listening to the Club at 22 reaction video this morning, actually, to the Aberdeen game. It's the first chance I got to listen to it. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely spot on from the boys. Love Club at 22. Great podcast. But got to say, there is a mentality problem. There is a real issue within this club of the fact that we've kind of become ingrained to accepting the average and just kind of shrugging our shoulders, when we get these opportunities that we have to close the door on that lot from across the city. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And like I said, the hope is that Philippe Clement has seen this and is, I know he can't do anything now. And I know January, you can't overhaul your squad. It's just not possible. But in the summer, we do something about it, that we get rid of the Goldsons, the Barisics, the Lundstroms, the Roofs, the Jacks, well, perhaps less so Jack, but the Taverniers of this world, and we move them on and we bring in a new, hungrier group of players who want success, who have the ability to deal with high pressure situations, who have the ability to, when the opportunity presents itself, not only take it with both hands, but throttle the living daylights out of it and make sure we get it. Now, I do think as well, there is a lack of will, a lack of skill in this team at times. You look at the bench on Sunday and look, people have said, well, why didn't he throw any more attackers on? Well, because he hasn't got any options. You've got Sam Lammers and Cyril Dessers. You've got £7.5 million worth of average, £7.5 million worth of just not good enough, £7.5 million worth of couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo. Lammers had that chance. I guarantee you one thing. And I'll tell you something now. I'm going to get slaughtered for this. Lawrence Shankland in a Rangers shirt gets the opportunity that Lammers gets on Sunday. He scores. He puts the ball in the back of the net. Antonio Cholak is still at the club. He gets that opportunity. He scores. Guarantee it. And the one thing that really concerns me now going forward is the fact that if something happens to Danilo, what have we really got? Seema can play 9, but he's not really an out-and-out 9. Lawrence can play as a 9, but again, he's not an out-and-out 9. You've then got Lammers and Dessers until Lovelace gets fit in January. It's not an option. It really would worry the hell out of me. It would really, really worry me. And I think there is a need, like the rumours are saying, that we do go out and get a striker in January. I think that is a real push. And I think, I think we need to get away from this arrogance and snobbery towards Scottish players. I think Shankland is an option. I think Miovski is an option. I think, and I know Miovski's not Scottish, but, again, he plays in Scotland. Duke, another option. These guys are options. They can do it in this league. They've proved time after time they can do it in this league. And yes, they may cost a bit of a Rangers supplement, but it depends how much you want to win the league. How much do you want to be successful? Sometimes you have to pay the price for that. It's not all doom and gloom. It might sound like I'm being all doom and gloom. And there's a lot of positives that Philippe Clement has brought in. The football is better. There's more of an identity. There's a structure. There's a better mentality amongst some players than others. Jack Butland is absolutely world class. Yes, there is some positives, but Philippe Clement now needs to take those positives that he's got and the elements of world class and the elements of top class that he's got in this team. The Tom Lawrences, the Adab Dalasemas, the Nico Raskins, those players, and use them. Play them. And look, I know he can't play on Thursday, but on Sunday, in our next league game, we need to play Ridvan at left back. Ridvan is a better left back than Borna Barisic. This argument that, he's not tall enough, that's archaic. It's so prehistoric. It's ridiculous. And if you're one of those people that argues we shouldn't play Ridvan because he's too small, you're living in the dark ages. You're living in the prehistoric ages. Fullbacks these days are not big, tall guys. Not the best ones anyway. They're quick, they're speedy, they get forward. Ridvan closes down. Ridvan engages his defender. Borna never engages his defender. He stands with his hands behind his back and tries to block, and that's it. And the player just goes round him or whips the cross in. And it'll happen. If Barisic plays against Celtic at Parkhead on the 30th, they'll come down the left and they will, and I guarantee it, absolutely obliterate him because they know they can. Ridvan is a quicker, better player. He's better going forward. He's better defending. He is an all-round better player than Borna Barisic. And I'm not surprised the lad's frustrated and not getting picked ahead of him. Really, I'm not. He is a better player than Borna Barisic. Yes, Barisic has been a good servant during 55, but for the last 2 to 3 seasons, he has been galactically poor. I'm sorry, but he has been. Well, that's my thoughts anyway. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I do think that, like I said, there is a mentality issue that needs to be addressed, and Philippe Clement will have to work hard to address that issue. There's also that skill element as well with certain players, Dessers, Lammers, etc., who are just not up to playing for this club and need to be moved on now or in January. Well, need to be moved on in January at the earliest possible point. Let me know what you think, guys. And on the way out, as always, guys, 2 things. Number 1, smash the like, and number 2, remember, we are the people.